Welcome back, everybody, to more from the SAbleyes. I'm here today with Jordan. How are we doing, Jordan?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That's good, and we're taking a look at TordZard, as it has become known, ability ReshiZard, which Tord Reklev took to a top 4 finish at World Championships. It's a very, very cool deck. This is actually the deck that in my kind of post-Worlds testing I've actually had the most fun with, because when it works, it's super powerful.
Yeah, this is like this almost secret deck from Worlds this year that Tord and his team often bring like a really cool deck that no one's expecting, and I would say that this was the most interesting deck that we saw made in the top 4 of the World Championships. Although, to be fair, there were quite a lot of interesting decks at Worlds this year, but this was the one that I think a lot of people were talking about after the event.
Yeah, it's one of those decks where people are seeing it a couple of times on day one, then they're going, "Oh, have you seen the Limitless deck? Here it is." And this is what it was: ability ReshiZard as opposed to the Greens one. We've still got ReshiZard as our main attacker, and we're going to use Flare Strike and Double Blaze to try and take a lot of knockouts. But instead of using Volcanion and Greens to try and set ourselves up, instead we're going to be trying to use a couple of other attackers and support Pokemon. And the interesting one that is coming to the forefront now, Heatran GX has Steaming Stomp for 130, 2 fire and a colorless, and Hot Burn GX, which does 50 times the amount of fire energy attached. And you can actually get plenty of fire energy attached to this card by using its ability Burning Road, which will move any amount of fire energy on your field to the Heatran as it moves into the active, enabling you to do upwards of 250 or 300 damage with your GX attack pretty much as soon as turn 2.
Well, yeah, it's actually the exact same amount of damage output that you get from a GX attack from ReshiZard. For 6 energy, you will be doing 300 damage for your GX attack, except this one's a little bit more versatile. You can do only 4 for 200 or 5 for 250. You can really easily control how much damage you want to do with this Heatran. And I would say this card was really one of the highlights from Worlds this year, not only in this list, but also coming second place from Chintaro's deck. Heatran is definitely a force to be reckoned with going forward, considering it's a card that I feel like a lot of people, including ourselves, kind of overlooked.
Yeah, no one really thought about it going in, but well, obviously some people did because it was very successful. The thing that Heatran GX has going for it, as opposed to ReshiZard, is when those energy are knocked off, when someone knocks the Heatran out, they only take 2 prizes. So you can kind of skew the prize trade a little bit as well. We've got a few other attackers that we're going to use to try and take knockouts. We're going to be using the Dragon's Majesty Turtonator with Explosive Jet, 50 times the amount of fire energy that you discard from your Pokemon. This is another way of getting expandable damage with your deck, and it's also a way of getting through things like Keldeo GX that are going to stop GX Pokemon from attacking. It also means that you can get past things like Bronzong, which we're seeing play as well, because Turtonator's not a fire type, it's a dragon type. So you're going to be able to hit through some of those kind of awkward abilities as well.
It's definitely a very versatile attacker, and I would say that the non-GX attackers in this list, the main reason that I like this build of ReshiZard over the Greens build, it just feels so much more powerful having non-GX one-hit KO options where you can kind of have the option of attacking with a 1 prizer, a 2 prizer, or a 3 prizer, depending on how you want to map your opponent's prize layout. You can really take advantage of the game, and considering this deck is very good at getting energy into play very quickly, Explosive Jet is a very powerful attack.
It certainly is, and I mean the only downside is that you have to discard that energy, but that's fine because we've got Victini Prism in this list as well, which has the Infinity attack for 2 fire energy, which does 20 damage times the amount of basic energy in your discard pile, and then shuffles those cards back into your deck. So towards the mid to late game, you can do a lot of damage with Victini. The deck plays a whopping 18 fire energy, so you could potentially do, 16 times 20, which is a number that's very large, 420 or something like that. I don't know exactly the numbers, you'd never need to do that many, but
I believe it's 320.
320, sorry I misspoke, I'm sick, you can blame it on that. But still, that's exceptionally high. 320 will knock out everything in the game, and the fact that there's so many energy in the deck means that even if there's a couple prizes, you're still going to be able to do 200, 250 damage with Infinity, which are the numbers that you're going to try and hit.
It's pretty crazy. In fact, I would say that the whole entire structure of this list was kind of based around the Victini Prism gimmick of you need to be playing all of these cards that structure around the 18 fire energy to be able to use Victini to the best possible way you can, and having those energy to shuffle back in with Infinity is also just going to increase how quickly you're able to finish off the game with additional welders, when usually you'd probably be running out of fire energy at the end of the game. That's never going to be a problem thanks to this card.
Yeah, Victini's going to be able to get you out of the hole if you get stuck in it. We also have another way of discarding energy as a support for this deck. We've got the 9 Temptations Ninetales, which is going to be able to allow us to discard 2 fire energy in order to switch one of our opponent's Pokemon into the active. This is in place of things like Custom Catcher. We have Infinite Gust in this deck, or we've got Gust as long as we've got fire energy, so Ninetales is going to allow us to do things like avoid those kind of spell tag based Malamar decks. We're going to be able to avoid things that we don't want to knock out and instead take knockouts on things that are really important. And it's going to not only power up our Victini for the late game, but it's also going to help us thin cards out of our hand and deck to be able to draw into the stuff that we need. So super, super cool. And in a pinch, you can even use Flametail as an attack for 90 damage. That'll knock out something like a Jirachi or a Malamar, no problems.
I've been saying for a while that I think that Ninetales is the best form of Gust in the current format, but we haven't really seen an engine that utilizes 9 Temptations to the best of its ability until this list came out. You need to be playing a lot of fire energy to be able to make use of Ninetales, and decks that use fire energy often already need to have a lot of fire energy in hand to use things like Welder. So even in these fire decks, 9 Temptations isn't always the best route of play, but in a list that plays 18 fire energy and Victini Prism to get them back, it's so strong being able to target down whichever Pokemon you want to every turn. We've got these big attacks that take one-hit KOs. It's just such an aggressive deck that Ninetales fits perfectly into.
It certainly does. And we've got 7 more Pokemon, and they're all in support of trying to get as much fire energy into play as possible. We have 4 copies of Jirachi with Stellar Wish, and 3 copies of Dedenne GX. That means we're going to be able to draw through our deck very, very quickly and try and find the key cards that we need. We're always looking for Welder. You want to play Welder every single turn. And Dedenne GX and Jirachi give you ability-based draw or ability-based search to find the Welder that you need to pull off the attack. It means that you can look at essentially 11 cards without using a supporter, which is very important.
Well, when you're not using greens to search for your Welder combos, you kind of just need to manually draw into them. And the combination of Stellar Wish and Dedenne Change is going to let you find those cards relatively easily and relatively consistently, which is really important in this deck that really wants to try and spam Welders every single turn. It is the only supporter in the list, which we'll get to in a second, which is pretty funny. If you told me that a deck would make top 4 at the World Championships with only 4 supporters, I would not have believed you, but here we are.
And here it is. It's 4 copies of Welder, and that's that. And it's kind of one of those situations where they've obviously gone, well, hey, the only supporter that we ever really want to play is Welder, so why would we play anything else? Why don't we just put in a bunch of cards to help us get more Welder? And that's because this card is so strong. The ability to accelerate 2 fire energy is super good in itself, but the fact that it draws 3 cards as well is just an added bonus. Means that you can power up things like ReshiZard, Turtonator, Heatran in just 1 turn, and it means that even if you've got nothing on the field, you could potentially have an attacker out of nowhere.
And this card is the main reason why any of the attackers in this deck work. Like, there's not a single 1 energy attacker that's good in this deck. I mean, you can hop burn for 50 if you want to, but every single attacker in this deck is reliant on Welder to be active pretty much from turn 1 onwards, if you can. If you're able to pull off Welder every single turn of the game, then you're going to be able to apply so much pressure to your opponent that most decks just can't deal with the speed of someone attaching 3 energy every single turn from turn 1. I mean, that's kind of what I aim to do with Malamar, and I'm happy to get that just from turn 3 onwards.
Yeah, exactly. You don't always have to have the 3 energy attachments, but this deck's doing it on top of the energy that's already in play. The cards that we're going to use to try and get into those Welders as quickly as possible, we have 3 copies of Acrobike, just as some generic cycle, pun intended, to get through your cards as quickly as you can. There's nothing that you're really too upset about discarding, and most of the time off of an Acrobike, you're going to see a fire energy anyway, considering it's about a third of the deck. So you're not too disappointed if you have to discard them. You just want to dig through your list as quickly as possible.
Just in general, you really need to make sure you have a decent amount of draw power when you're already playing this for Welder. As good as Welder is, it's not going to be reliable every single turn of every game. So you want to be able to find yourself cards from Acro Blacks and Did They Change to increase the odds of you getting Welder every turn.
Yeah, you do, and we're going to try and increase our odds of getting into Dede Change by playing 4 copies of Cherish Ball. Not only is it going to help us search out Dede, but it'll also get ourselves our attackers into play when we need them. ReshiZard and Heatran both searchable, but Cherish Ball is effectively draw 6 cards in this deck. That's the thing that you're going to be using it for the most. We've also got 3 copies of Pokemon Communication, which can do the same job, but you can also use this to find things like Turtonator or Jirachi, or more importantly, your Ninetales pieces, so that you can take knockouts on whatever you need to advance your board state most efficiently.
Yeah, the Ninetales is definitely the hardest Pokemon to get into play in this deck. Victini probably being a close second, as it's only a one-of, and you do need to be able to find it on specific turns, but having a fairly high Pokemon search count does seem a little unnecessary, because this is a deck that really only wants to get a couple basic Pokemon into play, and that's all. But if you ever don't have an attacker on your board, you're going to be really struggling to get attacks off, as your Welder is your draw engine, and if you can't attach Andy to your attackers, then you're probably not winning that game. So you always want to make sure you've got a good Pokemon on your board, so that the rest of your deck can just function the way it's meant to do. So
yeah, you've kind of got a little bit of an out with Heatran. Sometimes you can afford to Welder on something that's not going to attack if you've got Heatran left in deck, but that's not always going to be an option, so you want to find those attackers when you need them. The rest of the cards are they're really weird in that they're all developed around trying to find Welder in their own specific way. Or at least trying to advance that Welder board state. Again, we've got 2 copies of Switch and 2 copies of Escape Board, and these are to try and help us into our Jirachis in the early game. You can also use Switch to help your Heatran attack if you need to, but it's mainly to make sure that we've got enough Jirachi access that we can get into the Welders when we need them. We also play 1 copy of Power Pad, which effectively means that the deck's playing 6 Welders. So if we have used a couple early game, we can Power Pad them back in, and we've got 4 more to access. And then we've got 3 Super Scoop Up, which has a dual function, but the thing that I've found it's actually really, really good for is actually scooping up a Dedenne so that you can play 1 down and draw into another 6 cards. Scoop Up can sometimes save you a prize from something like a Reshiram and Charizard, but I'm usually using it to try and draw more cards so I can get into the Welder when I need it.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because in a deck that really requires the specific supporter, or in this case, the only supporter every single turn, you'd expect to see a card like Pokegear pop up in a deck like this. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck, see if you can find a Welder. But Super Scoop Up, in a way, is almost the same as a Pokegear. You're just going to draw straight 6 cards, and if there's a Welder there, then you now have access to Welder. Obviously, it's not quite as consistent. You're going to have to put a point to do so, but honestly, you're not going to get a Welder off of a Pokegear more than 50% of the time anyway, so it's almost a point regardless of which one you play. But Scoop Up gives you the added bonus of having some healing options for your ReshiZard. Obviously, healing is one of the best things about the greens build of ReshiZard, so adding Scoop Up to the list gives you that added bonus of being able to heal, or if you're in a weird position, maybe even reactivate a Heatran that you put all your energy onto in the active, and then pick them all up for Welder usage later on.
Yeah, you can even potentially use it to get access to a 5th Jirachi if you need one, but that's probably a bit of a niche situation. But hey, you could potentially do it. And we've got 4 Stadium cards in the list. We've got 1 Heat Factory Prism. Again, more draw. We want to find those Welders as quickly as we can, and once we've found them, we want to use Giant Hearth to get 2 Fire Energy into our hand so that we can weld them straight onto our Pokemon. It's a pretty crazy list.
Super important.
Yeah, they certainly are. Alright, so, what do you say, Jordan? Shall we take this one onto the ladder and see what happens?
I reckon we may as well.
May as well. We'll see if we can do a bit better than Tord did. Maybe we can play against Blacephalon and beat it.
I actually think that the Blacephalon matchup is it's not that bad for this deck. It's obviously a very hit-for-hit matchup where both players are just going to be taking big knockouts almost every turn, but I would actually feel confident in ReshiZard's ability to take the first big knockout in that hit-for-hit trade.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it as well. There's 2 welders in our hand. That would have been really good if we had found a Pokemon. But
Yeah,
we'll just have to settle for this hand, which looks fine too.
Yeah, as long as you open Jirachi, you're never really too upset. We've got access to Dedenne in our opening hand, which is never a bad thing. It looks like we're going to be playing against a Dark Box variant, which could be a little tough if they actually get a good setup. So we really want to apply as much pressure as we can here and try and win before their setup becomes too intimidating.
Yeah, I'm kind of reluctant to use the Dene here just because we've got the Power Pad in hand, so I've gone for the Welder early. The question is whether we put the Heatran down or whether we start going for the ReshiZard, and you know what, I reckon we're just going to go for the ReshiZard. That seems fine.
Yeah, this is really strong because if we want to, we can go ahead and Welder straight away right now on turn 1. Use the Power Pad to put that Welder in, and then all of a sudden we're still going to have access to 4 Welders in deck, but honestly, the fact that we drew an energy off of the Welder means we might not even need to use the Dene this turn. We got an manual attachment, and that's realistically all we really need to ask for.
That's all we need. I am going to be a little bit greedy, and I'm going to trade 1 time, and I wish I hadn't. But that's okay.
Immediately punished.
Immediately punished. It was the least likely thing to go wrong, but hey, that's fine. We've got a 3 energy ReshiZard on the bench, and we've got a Jirachi in the active, and Dark Box isn't going to be putting too much pressure on in the early game. They'd have to have an exceptionally good hand to get to that point. They are going to sneaky smash us, which is frustrating, but you know, we've just put 3 energy into play on 1 turn. We can do it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. And the fact that we're holding the Heatran here is actually, oh boy,
there you go.
That was an easy win. Let's go another one.
No worries. Not even interested in playing that out.
They probably didn't draw another basic Pokemon there.
Must have been a bad Cynthia. All right, so we'll see if we can get another one here, one that's a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to get at least 1 decent game where our opponent doesn't just completely brick.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see a good game. We could potentially be going up against Ultra Malamar here based on the colours of that box. But
that's certainly an interesting matchup. It's probably one of the toughest of the Malamar variants for this deck to come up against. And this hand it's not the worst. We've got Dedenne. Obviously, it'd be nice if we were able to find access to like a Welder and a Cherish Ball, since we do have those Fire Energy conveniently there.
Look at this. We got a Mesprit coming in here, man. This is Malamar, and it's playing the
Mesprit's
first
actually...
contact. Oh, look at this guy. He's got the old arts already. Wow.
Yeah, Mesprit's a card that I saw some people talking about going into the World Championships, acting as kind of a pseudo Bridget, but didn't think we'd actually see people opting to play with it.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. The fact that he's gone first means that maybe it's not the best start in the world. He's got 2. Man, this guy.
He's probably got the playset.
This guy's gone wild. D-Door. We'll probably see an attachment to that Giratina. Alright.
So yeah, this matchup is pretty close actually. It's really going to be important to get the Ninetales out in this matchup, because if we can use 9 Temptations to get around spell tags, then our opponent's really going to struggle to deal enough damage to deal with ReshiZards.
And I'm just going to do a bit of thinning here.
Going to try and hit a Cherish Ball or a Pokecom off a Stellarwish, eh?
I would love to.
It would be pretty nice.
Well, we've got the Welder for it.
Yeah. See what happens.
Oh! Acro Black?
Acro Black, go again.
Acro Black? It's alright, we can weld it to the Jirachi, it's fine.
It's not the worst play in the world.
Look at that, that's literally the perfect one, because it means we can get rid of the Ninetales now for the Dedenne later. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's actually significantly better than Cherish Ball, because I was just saying that Ninetales is a really important resource in this matchup, and hey, look at this, once again, turn 1 Welder, 3 energies onto a ReshiZard turn 1.
It's going to be
and
great.
If we can find access to a switch card off of this Dedenne, we can maybe even go into Heatran if we want to this turn.
Well, I mean, we've got a switch card.
Yeah, if we were to play Cherish Ball for Heatran and hits heads on Scoop Up, we could actually go for a knockout this turn onto that Mesprit. Well, it's not the
I'm
most
super
valuable
keen
knockout
to
in the
do
world. pretty strong.
Yes.
There it is.
See you later, Jirachi. Promote
And you were
the
joking.
Heatran.
You thought you were joking about using Scoop Up on Jirachi.
Yeah, I did. And here we are. And now we can just put everything down and away we go.
This is certainly an optimal turn one if we can find a Vulpix. And look at that. First 2 cards is a Pokemon Communication and a Dedenne. With access to Ninetales in the next turn.
I'm keeping the Ninetales in hand. We've got the Hearth in play. We've got a Welder in hand and an Energy. Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Hands like this is the reason why Tord made top 4 at the World Championship.
Tell you what, it's a good deck. Who cares that it's only got 4 supporters?
That's all you need.
Look at that energy off the prizes. We don't even need the Giant Hearth. Oh,
so yeah, what we want to potentially look into doing in this matchup is targeting down their Malamars over and over again, unless they put spell tags on them, in which case we probably won't be too keen to do that. Eventually they're going to really struggle to find attacks if we keep targeting down their Malamars, and hopefully we will never have to hit into spell tag even once.
Yeah, exactly, and if we can find ourselves a scoop up as well to take off the damage that the Giratina's going to do, then there's almost no threat of us losing this game if we can hit a couple more heads, but we've already used one. We should be able to take a couple of knockouts before we are in too much problems.
Yeah, the scoop ups are definitely a huge swing card in this matchup. You can still win if you don't get scoop ups, but I feel like if Malamar is drawing optimally, then it looks like they're not drawing optimally though.
No one wants to play against us, Jordan. What's going on?
We're too scary. We're too good at this deck.
Too frightening. We can see now why Tord did so well. I actually get the luxury of a third game here. We've only been going for like 20 minutes or something. So, we'll see if we can keep it up.
We might be able to get a full best of 3 and plus a deck profile at the same time.
Tell you what. Oh, here we go. Fire and Dragon. We could be up against something very interesting here in a mirror match. But I'd back ourselves in here though if we're in the mirror, because we've got the Jirachi, the added bonus of all that kind of stuff. So we'll wait and see. We're gonna get to look because we've both had a bit of a mulligan.
Yep, I've actually not played a mirror match with this list yet. We've got a bit of an interesting hand here, but
it's not interesting, mate. We've got all the things we need. We've got everything we need.
Like, it's not the best hand in the world, but assuming Welder finds us something decent, then we're going to have a pretty aggressive start. And as I said, going first, you can threaten that turn 2 300 damage. If they open with a ReshiZard, we could be knocking it out on the very first turn. Second turn of the game. First turn of attack.
Could we? Oh, look at all this. Look at all this. Oh,
nothing to worry about.
Who wants for anything? Oh,
and we even got the Vulpix. Super important.
Look at this.
We're actually holding pretty much all the cards we need to get a turn 2 Double Blaze GX plus maybe even a Gust from Ninetales, assuming they bench a ReshiZard, which I'm guessing they're probably going to want to try and do.
I think that's pretty much their only option. So we could be Double Blazing for 300 here. Obviously, we do need to find the Ninetales, and we're going to need to do that before we get rid of our 2 Pokecoms with the Dene. Realistically, we don't want to be in a position where we can't use those Pokecoms and have to Dene them away. But, you know, it'll still be fine. They're not going to realistically be able to set up 2 ReshiZards this turn. They're going to have to just Flare Start at a 1. And if we can knock it out, then I put us in a pretty strong position to win this game.
It's actually not that hard to do either, because assuming we draw any Pokemon off of Welter, we're going to be able to use Pokemon Communication to find the Ninetales. And then all we're really missing is like a Giant Hearth to find 2 Energy for a Gust, and we're going to be able to do 300 damage to that Pinched ReshiZard and almost lock up the game, I would say.
Yeah, we're going for it. They've got nothing else on the field, so they're just going to be Flare Startering to that ReshiZard. And it's funny, because this is pretty much the optimal turn for Green's ReshiZard, and it's about to get super punished, unless we get very unlucky.
I mean, we're definitely... oh my god. I was about to say we're definitely high-rolling a little bit with our draws, and I was proven correct with that top deck.
Somebody please stop. Stop this man. Alright, all we need to do is find 3 energy.
Yeah, we need to draw fire energy, and that's like the easiest part to do in this deck.
It certainly is. Well, there's some of them.
Look, there's 2 of them.
So what we'll do is, I reckon we just Hearth away. Something we'll just do the Gust now.
Yep.
There's 7 energy left in deck.
Just need to draw 1 energy off of the Dene, and we will be doing double blaze on turn 2 with Gust for 300 damage. I did not think that that would be happening.
Seems pretty strong.
I wouldn't
Look at that,
say,
we got it.
Yep, first card, perfectly. I was about to say I wouldn't be too confident it's going to happen. Are we going to get another turn 2 concession?
How many games are we going to have to play with this deck before we fill out a 40-minute video?
Oh, I think that's just proof of how broken this deck is. You can just win games turn 2 every time. I mean, the only problem here is we have used our GX attack, so we're never going to be one-hit KOing a ReshiZard again, but thanks to Ninetales, we can honestly just half-hit a ReshiZard, watch them retreat it to the bench, and then bring it active and half-hit it again.
Yep, and
so they're
going to reset stamp us here, which is a bit disappointing, but I mean, we've got an attacker that can do 230 every turn, so it doesn't really matter.
They're going to need pretty much perfect draws for the rest of the game. They're going to need to heal off pretty much all the damage we do for the rest of the game, because if they ever put on their board, we'll be able to use Ninetales to bring up the damaged ReshiZard and take it out for the win.
We certainly will. So I think our play here is going to be benching this Jirachi, because at some point we're going to need it, but we could even just Giant Hearth and Gust out the ReshiZard now, take half hit on it, and go from there. We're in a super strong position, and that top deck is amazing as well.
Yep, it's pretty much a perfect.
Oh my word! I don't even know if I want to put the Heat Factory down. I could almost see myself halving away that Heat Factory, as ridiculous as that sounds.
The other thing we need to consider is it is actually possible for us to win the game this turn if we wanted to go for it. A Welder onto a Turtonator plus a Gust would easily give us enough damage to knock out that ReshiZard on the bench if we found a switch. That is a lot of cards to ask for, so I don't know if it's worth going for. I think if we were
probably not, we're probably fine.
If we just brought up their benched ReshiZard, hit it for 230 damage with Flare Strike,
well, to be fair,
heal it all off.
To be fair, we could just knock out this Volcanion and they've got nothing in play.
Yeah, I guess, but I just want to win next turn, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Tell you what, I'll put the Heat Factory down. Who cares?
Fair enough.
I'm just gonna do whatever happens.
Just gonna click the highlighted cards.
Yep, click them all, and we'll go from there.
Scoop up, maybe pick up the Dene.
You reckon?
Well, if you're gonna play the Dene anyway, you may as well, right?
Yeah,
Look at that, free bench space.
Boop. Jum.
At some point, even if we don't ever get a one-hit KO, even if we don't get the Gust to 2-hit KO, we are eventually going to be able to set up for a 1-hit KO with either Victini Prism or Turtonator, depending on what whether our Angie stay on the board or end up going to the discard pile. Yeah, at this point, I think our best player is probably still just going to be going for the Flare Strike onto the bench, trying to force them to heal all 230 damage, otherwise we'll just be able to use 9 Temptations one more time to win the game.
Yeah, let's do it. We could have held on to them, but that's fine. We'll Flare Strike. If they knock us out, then we've got energy on a Ninetales. We can retreat. It'll be fine.
And if they knock us out with the active, then
we can just kill it with Victini.
We're already holding Welder, so
what
we would need to do is find access to energy, and even the Ninetales would be able to take the knockout on this ReshiZard.
And the best thing here is as well that they can only use, they can only attack with a use of Welder. They can't greens for healing and attack this turn, so any healing that they want to do, they have to have in their hand already.
Yeah, they need to heal so much damage, because assuming they take this knockout on our ReshiZard, we're going to have at least 9 energy in the discard pile, and 9 energy in the discard means 180 damage from a Victini Prism, which happens to just be sitting in our hand right now. Yeah. And they've already used a reset stamp, so I feel like we're probably going to be able to hold our hands for quite a while in this game.
We should be able to. The issue that I'm having here is that we don't have access to energy. Now I feel a bit bad getting rid of the hearth at the moment, but, you know, it'll be fine.
Don't worry, they'll put it down for us. Just wait and see.
Just wait and see.
We do also have the Pal Pad in our hand, so we can Pal Pad all of our Welders back into deck, and then Stellar Wish, if we find access to a Dedenne, we can just discard this hand and try and find a welder and fire energy all over again. But wow, they're actually just leaving the ReshiZard in the active with only 40 HP left. It is super easy to find the game from here.
I'm so worried. We need to have an energy. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it.
I don't think it's too hard. You're going to promote the Ninetales or the Jirachi?
Well,
I feel like the Jirachi is smarter because we don't really
the Jirachi's safe, isn't it?
Like, it does require us to find one extra card.
We found an energy, so that's pretty strong.
Yeah, there's a lot of options we can go for here. We could welder this one energy onto the Victini, draw 3 cards, and then Stellar Wish, or we could even Heat Factory the Fire Energy away, try and find 2 more Fire Energy with the welder, which will allow us to manually attach. There's a whole lot of things going on here, but it looks like if we can Stellar Wish or Heat Factory into a switch card, we'll have won the game. And we've got a lot of draw cards to be able to find it. We can use Giant Huff to suck out 2 Fire Energy, and then to Dene it away, we've got a Stellar Wish. All we need to do is get this Jirachi out of the active. So
it shouldn't be too hard from here. From here, we should be okay. It was risky for a moment, but the fact that we've got
telling me you didn't have faith in this deck after all of these games.
I'm gonna leave 1 in there just in case.
Yeah, fair
enough. Then we are going to. There's a part of me that's like, I should Palpad in the welders, but I mean, if we don't win this turn, then we'd be very disappointed. So I'm just going to detonate away. Who cares?
We're going to get it. We're drawing 6 cards out of 13. Going to be able to Stellar Wish, look at 5 of the next, of the last 7. So
there's 3 cards in there. We're guaranteed to win the game from here. So
and hey, we've even got the Super Scoop Up in our hand for if everything fails.
Yeah, just if everything went completely wrong. Here we go. There's the escape board. Oh, my goodness. What a deck.
We get to show off with this amazing infinity attack from Victini Prison.
Almost all in. There we go.
How many turns was that game? That was like 3-4 turns at max? I think it was 3.
I think it was 3 turns. We attacked
turn 2, and then we half hit turn 3 and won the game turn 4.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. That seems pretty strong. Well, maybe we'll just leave it at a short 30-minute one with 3 games in a video.
We don't want to push our luck too much.
No, we don't want to go too crazy. That's pretty strong, and you can see why Tor did so well with it. It's a very, very powerful deck. It does rely on a bit of luck. If at any point in any of those games we didn't have a welder for a turn, we might have struggled. But ultimately,
it wasn't just Tor that did well with it. It was also the winning deck from the senior division at the World Championships. So definitely a good deck for all age divisions.
It certainly is, and it's a good deck for pressing buttons. It's my favourite thing to do with ReshiZard. Just click all the highlighted cards and do a lot of damage. Sounds pretty good to me.
Sure does.
Anyway, we'll leave it there, Jordan. I'm padding out the video for as long as I can. Thanks very much for coming along. You're welcome, Mitch. No? You're not even going to say anything there?
Nah. Yeah. I'm done with this video. We've done our job.
Fair enough.
No need to pat it out any longer.
That's fine. No one's listening at this point anyway. No one will be worried about the awkward 30 seconds that I waited for you to respond to that. Anyway, I'll do the outro now. You sit back and relax, mate. It's going to be fine. You're not even going to respond to that. This is so awkward.
No need.
Thanks everyone for watching. If you like the content, then click on the SAbleyes in the middle of the screen. On the left-hand side, some videos that YouTube thinks you'll like. And on the right, we have our Unified Minds playlist. I've got to get out of here before Jordan embarrasses me further. Thanks everyone, and we will see you all next time for more from the SAbleyes. Bye.